Welcome to the Irish Loaf Quality Bake videos just for you. Hello, this is Admiral Scopely calling the Irish Loaf just to let you know that your credit card has been maxed out and you can't buy anything anymore from our store playing Starfleet Fleet Command. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Hello, how's it going? Nice to see you again. Today we're going to embark on a journey into the final frontier. Not of space, but of game monetization. Now, we've all heard about game monetization. I've been playing games since DOS 3.1, but this game, there's something about this which I just have to talk about, which is just how the monetization in this game is just absolutely berserk and beyond all logical, rational comprehension, except that it's trying to catch a whale of a game player who's willing to drop like tens of thousands of dollars a week on the game. Yes, it's Star Trek Fleet Command, that mobile game that you've probably heard about, which is also on desktop computers. Star Trek Fleet Command, it's mostly a 2D game, yeah? It's basically like a radar game with ships flying around, going between different galaxies. That's the best way of describing it in a nutshell. Its acronym is STFC, Star Trek Fleet Command. The game is developed by a company called Scopely. Now, this particular game has boldly gone where very few games have gone before in terms of monetization. And it has one of the most aggressive business models I have ever come across in gaming history. So if you were to go on AI and ask them a question like the most expensive single developer sold microtransaction bundle, it's probably going to tell you about Star Citizen and the Legatus package. And that comes in at a nice price of 48,000 United States dollars, nearly 50 grand. It'll probably also mention Diablo Immortal and numbers going between 100 grand and 500 grand on microtransactions. Scopely's Star Trek Fleet Command is very close to that. Now, I played Star Trek Fleet Command for quite a while, and I stopped playing it a few years ago. And in fact, I'm going to open it again to have a look to see if anything's changed. So, in the latter part of the video, I'm going to go there. But before that, I'm going to tell you why I quit playing. And you're probably guessing the reasons already. Here's the thing about playing Star Trek Fleet Command: you could end up paying used car prices on a digital ship, which only exists in the digital realm. The game itself is free to download and play, but to boldly go anywhere, you're looking at some serious coinage to get places. So if you're going to boldly go anywhere, it's going boldly with a credit card that has a high limit. It's a world built on the ideas of a post-scarcity federation, yet it is governed by a ruthlessly efficient, multi-tiered monetization engine. Now, as you play this game, you're going to level up, and it takes a long time to level up, can take well over a year. And when you actually get anywhere, which is like sort of level 21 from what I remember upwards, as soon as you hit that level, you're a minnow and you're just food for everyone else who stayed on a little longer playing this game. And they're the ones who have invested in it and played it for a long time. So you spend like your first year and a bit trying to get places, only become food for everyone else. And then when you progress from there, you're going to be eating the minnows that have spent a year trying to get on in this game. Minnows who are basically what you were when you first joined the game and spent a year trying to get anywhere on it. So during the time that you're playing this game and you're learning the various controls, you're learning the game mechanics, and you're socializing with various groups and alliances, you're going to start talking about the pricing structure with people there. And you're going to start trying to quantify potential costs involved in playing this game and getting the ships and the components that you want. You're going to come across some really advanced players in this game. And you'll notice something after a while, which is they've all got their own frustrations when it comes to playing this game. And a lot of it has to do with leveling up their characters, leveling up their ships, leveling up their stations, and how long it takes. And you're going to hear months, sometimes half years, sometimes full years being spoken about. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into three main areas about why I quit and why other people quit playing this game. And it does have a considerable dropout rate. And some people come back again, but nearly everyone drops out for the same reason, which is they all eventually click at some level about how the monetization of this game is just unreal. It's going into the tens of thousands of dollars, it's going into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's ridiculous sums of money, which the average person just can't pay. And on top of that, the game mechanics also works in such a way that you are actually punished for not being able to achieve certain advances with your characters or ships or station. That if you're not reaching a certain level by a certain time, then a whole series of events come in which just totally catastrophically ruin a lot of work that you've put in for the past couple of weeks, if not months. So you're actually being punished for not reaching certain goals. And what you find is that the game is not that enjoyable for a lot of people that play it, that there are enjoyable moments, that they're getting the dopamine hits. But there comes a time when they're literally getting punished for not reaching certain goals. So we're going to be looking at the staggering financial commitment that this game requires and why maybe it's a good call to quit much earlier than later. I quit at level 37, and I'm going to prove that later by showing you gameplay when I open it again for the first time in years. And I've spoken to a lot of people who went a lot further than I did, and they quit well too late. So I want you to imagine a serious situation where you have a gamblers anonymous meeting, and it's held every so often, and people with this addiction get to talk to each other. So Sam is there talking about his addiction to a game like backgammon and how he's spending, hundreds of dollars every week and losing it, gambling it on backgammon. And then there's somebody else, say Frank, and Frank talks about how he's backing horses and how he's losing hundreds of dollars gambling on horses. And then there's Dave, who talks about dog races, greyhound races, and how he's losing money as well at the racetrack. And then along comes Sean, and Sean talks about how he's losing hundreds of dollars every week playing Star Trek Fleet Command. Years ago, if you were to say something like that, people would laugh at you. It would be bizarre. It would be virtually crackers to even consider that somebody playing a mobile computer game or any sort of a computer game is actually losing huge sums of money playing it. And yet, that is the case today. There are people playing these games and they have a problem putting lots of money into them and getting nothing out of it except digital content. When they turn off their devices, it's gone. It's not like having a used car in a garage. It only exists as ones and zeros in a system somewhere. Years ago, the idea of somebody saying that is science fiction, but today that's a reality. I can pretty much picture that today there's gambler anonymous meetings where people are hiding that they're actually playing computer games and spending loads of money on monetization products. That it's like gambling. They're putting too much money into stuff. And they're not going to say this openly. And instead, they're going to say that they're playing blackjack or poker or going to the races when in fact it's this stuff which is taking up all their money every week. So before we get into part one, the economics of the final frontier, first of all, I have to say capitalism is what it is. These companies have every right to charge whatever they want as long as they abide by consumer laws. You don't have to play these games. You don't have to download them. You don't have to give them any money. It's their universe. They can do what they want. And that's fine. There's a certain amount of truth to that. But they're not going to tell you about the financial commitment that's actually required to play these games. It's your due diligence to go check that out beforehand. And sometimes it can be hard to get the information that you want. But basically, this is not a game which Trekkies should get into unless they have what's called disposable income, fun money. And in today's world, that sort of thing is for the few. So the needs of the many do not outweigh the needs of the few here. It's very much the needs of just some people are outweighing the needs of everyone else. Part one, the economics of the final frontier. So let's start with a simple question. How much does it cost to play Star Trek Fleet Command? And the answer is free, except it's not. It's not that simple. So if you come expecting a neat price list where you can see everything and you kind of understand, on the menu how expensive things are going to get, this is not the game for you. Okay, it does not do that. A lot of the costs are hidden away in different tiering strategies. In other words, you buy a ship, you upgrade the ship, you get so far, and then you learn that in order to take it to the next level, you need to acquire something special that's going to take you months to get. And you can pay a little bit of money to help speed that up. Pricing isn't really clearly structured in terms of knowing where you're going. You'll have to sit down and use a spreadsheet to work out how much it's actually going to cost to get where you want to go in this game. And that's because there's no single fixed store. It changes as you tier up, and it starts to reveal the cost of things the further that you develop in this game. So what's going on is a very dynamic pricing model. And you've probably heard about dynamic pricing. Well, this one's got it, and it's got it in aces. It's quite tailored to your experience, and different packs and their prices, they rotate. There's limited time bundles which appear and vanish all the time. So you're under a time constraint to get something that you might need. Suddenly it flashes up. Here's something you might need. It costs blah, blah, blah. This game is constantly doing that all the time. So really, what you get is not so much a menu as a moving target. To sit down and create definitive price lists with this game is virtually impossible. You're going to have some roundabout figure of a costing to get to a certain place, but you don't know exactly what that's going to be. However, you are able to find concrete examples of some things. And it's when you see them that you start to question reality. I mean, you start to really wonder how on earth they're able to charge the kind of prices that they're charging for things, for minor upgrades, for little changes. You're going to come across special offers that go between $25, 25 euros, 50 euros, $50, and even up to like $100. No problem. Like, they're going to be flashing across the screen. They're going to be available from the menu every so often. And there's little enhancement packs for $5.99. And then you can get some like major daily reward pack for $19.99. Or you can get some big reward pack for like $99.99. And so this game has a real shifting landscape of very expensive microtransactions going on. So the only people who really understand this tiered pricing list is Scopely themselves, or those who have been through the game, spent a lot of money and a lot of time on it. They've been able to document maybe spreadsheets for some components of it, but only Scopely actually knows how much people have to pay to get from point A to Z with this game. So what can we say about it? Well, it seems that there's like three different tiers which we're able to extract from it after you've played it for a while. It's kind of like an entry tier, a mid tier, and a high tier. Entryway is about $19.99, and that's the low end of the pool. Apart from like these little microtransactions for $5.99 or whatever, it's $19.99 for some entry pool into the game. The game also has battle passes. You've heard about those where you pay a certain amount for the month and then you get extra rewards than you would if you didn't have this battle pass. So that entryway, that $19.99, it kind of gets you that battle pass. And that battle pass can kind of keep the minnows engaged in this game. But it's going to get to the stage where people are going to be bored with that battle pass. It's not going to be enough. For a lot of people, they're going to realize that that only gets them so far, that there is more in the game to advance into. And a battle pass alone isn't going to get you there. And spending years playing the game isn't going to get you there. You're going to at least have to invest a little bit in mid-tier things. So what is the mid-tier? Where it's $49.99. It's basically $50. That's your bridge into kind of that more advanced area of the game. So what that bridge tier does is it half unlocks things. So instead of spending so much time unlocking things, which is how this game works, that you basically set something on a timer and it gets developed or it's being built, and that's going to take a number of months. Well, this bridge tier basically halves the amount of time it takes, so you're going to be there quicker. To make the actual meaningful advancement where you're actually making a proper jump, you're not doing it by half. Well, that's the higher tier stuff. That's your $100 package, your $99.99, where you basically get a ship almost for that price. Now, I say almost because it's just the basic ship. But when you have the ship, that doesn't mean that you get all the weapons that come with it. The ship has to go through a number of tiers before it becomes powerful enough to be what it is in the game, which is what it was intended to do, this powerful ship. Spending all that money doesn't get you that powerful ship. It just unlocks it. So it's there and you can see it, but you still have to load it up with things. And that's going to take time or more money. So again, we can't see everything that's going on. It's vague. So what is it doing? Well, it's got a low friction entry point, and then you've got these high tier tickets, which are framed psychologically as great value for money. But you're spending 100 on one ship or just one progression. As you're playing the game, you're going to realize all of this. And you're going to talk to players and you're basically going to say to them, what is the most efficient way, in other words, the least amount of money that you have to spend to be in any way competitive in this game? And sure enough, there are players out there that have worked this out. You've got the people who did it through trial and error. They spent all the money and they realized that they shouldn't have spent all that money. They should only have spent a fraction of that money. And they're going to give you more efficient ways to get where you need to go. So you're going to be interested in talking about optimization with different members of the community. How do I efficiently go about doing this or this? What you're going to discover is that there are a lot of things that you shouldn't be spending your time with at the start of this game. There are different ships that you shouldn't get or spend your time or money on. You just shouldn't. And there are other ships that you should. And with any game, there are efficient builds. Some builds can be a bit better than others. And that just happens because of the complexity of the developers trying to balance everything. That some things get away, they're slightly better, or some things aren't so good. Something has the advantage. And that's what you want as a gamer. You want to be heading towards that kind of efficiency. That's just part one of how this game actually works. And just don't take my word for it. Even if you play a bit of this game, you're going to see that frustration with the top players that are out there. You're going to read that frustration with many players who have been playing this game a lot longer than you have. That it's no longer so enjoyable for them, that there is a frustration element there. Part two, the theoretical ceiling, buying the galaxy. The honest answer is because of the marketing strategy involved, we cannot tell you precisely how much it is that you're going to spend to get from A to Z with something. Maybe the short term stuff, sure, or over a year and a half, but actually where the game is or where you're going to be in a couple of years' time, it's difficult to extract how much that actually is. So the sheer volume of potential personalized moving goalposts when it comes to what you could end up spending prevents us from actually giving a precise figure. But in a way, the potential spend is virtually limitless. Now, that kind of makes a lot of sense. With everything that you're seeing going on with the game, the idea of a virtually limitless amount that you can spend on this game, you can see how that would be appealing to whoever it is that's behind this marketing strategy. So, the publicly available data only shows us a fraction of what that could be. But the fact that we cannot really calculate it is a testament to what's going on with the marketing design behind this game. There is no ceiling. You can't see, you could see parts of a ceiling, but it's not all of the ceiling. and you're looking up and all you can see is stars. So you're financially boldly going where nobody has gone before playing this game. And what's the ceiling? Well, it could be like the depth of your wallet. I mean, that's the ceiling. So you're playing this game, and then you realize that whoever is involved in the marketing strategy behind this game is really not as friendly as you might once have thought they were, to have made such a wonderful game for people who are Star Trek enthusiasts, right? So that means it's an open-ended financial commitment. Could you imagine wanting to buy something like buying a car and then you need all these extra things to have it like a nice car? Imagine you sign into something like that, except that it's a bottomless pit, completely open-ended financial transaction. You're asking, well, I need my car to take bends a little better. Oh, well, that's going to cost you. You're in Formula One without even knowing it. So a common question can arise: how much can a person spend on this game within 24 hours? And of course, that depends on how much you've unlocked, where your tier is. But once you get to a certain phase, yeah, it can be an awful lot of money. For example, a top tier level 60 player, we know from the data that they can exhaust anywhere between $15,000 to $25,000 in a 24-hour period. And then that resets and they can do it all again and again and again. The store is offering specific packs for things, and once you have them, that's your limit, your daily limit. You can't go beyond that. So if you buy out every pack that's available and the flash passes and things like this, you're going to be able to hit those kind of numbers. So what's actually going on? Well, we're not going to know because we're not on the board. Like, you're going to sign a non-disclosure agreement anyway if you get that far. You're not going to be able to tell people what's going on. So you can really only speculate. But if I was to speculate, I would speculate like this: that there's a market out there for people who will spend $100 on this game every day, that there's a market out there for people who will spend $1,000 a day on this game. You will see whales, what's referred to as whales in this game, and they're gamers who show up with something that nobody else has. And the only way that you could have what they have at the power they have is to have spent a long time and a lot of money developing whatever it was, the ship and the characters. Okay, they're not going to happen within a few years without a lot of money going into them, and those are whales, and that's a market for this game. But then there's a whole other level of super whale where people are willing to dump, like, five figures into upgrading whatever it is they've got. So what are they doing? Well, they're not just playing a game, they're like financing a whole digital empire here, right? That kind of money can buy you a real car, and they're doing that in a week. Now, do they exist? Or is it just a consequence of Scopely having so many different options? The potential is there. And are they going to complain if somebody does that? I doubt it. But the point is that somebody can do that. So when we're talking about super whales, I mean, these players are so advanced that they're not even within the same realm as a player who's considered a whale. And here we have a whole different universe in terms of marketing and selling to people. It's incomprehensible to people like me and you, like the vast majority of us. But it appears that Scopely can in fact market to them. So what we've seen here is that there is a daily ceiling, but there's no long-term ceiling. And the daily ceiling is enormous when you advance enough in this game. The next thing we're going to talk about is why people quit this game, or the problems that this game has. And so even though we're talking about the financial aspect of this huge financial commitment to get anywhere, the game still has game problems which regular games have. I mean, spending all this money or all this time doesn't mean you're going to avoid these sort of regular problems that occur. And we're going to talk a little bit about those that can drive people away from playing the game, as if there aren't enough reasons already for doing that. But we're going to talk about them because they are important and they do come into play. Part 3: the friction, the major complaints. So the aggressive monetization is the bedrock upon which all these problems are built. When you're playing this game, you're going to be hearing the same complaints on top of those over and over again. And the reason for these complaints is that the players understand that despite these staggering revenues, it has problems that it shouldn't really have. We've already kind of covered the most dominant complaint, which is this staggering financial commitment to get anywhere. It's a pay to progress faster system, or even pay to play at all, and especially pay not to be punished. And what also happens is that people who are paying, they're creating a gap that becomes insurmountable, even by other people who pay a lot of money into this game. They'll never be able to reach those kind of levels without paying huge sums of money. And even if they did pay huge sums of money, they still wouldn't be there because of the times involved in leveling things up. It seems then that every problem that you encounter with this game, there's a kind of a little way out of that problem, but you pay for it. When I was playing this game, it had a few issues. It's not technically a stable game, which is kind of ridiculous for the amount of revenue it generates. And recently I heard that the problems have gotten far worse, that Scopely actually had to write an apology letter as to what was going on, which is understandable given the revenues involved and how much people have invested in the game. You would expect that the servers would at least be stable and not lagging. Well, they were lagging again. You had frequent crashes, you had glitches, the debilitating lag, which has been there since I started playing it, that happens quite often. And they happen after updates, which again is really surprising for a game that generates this kind of revenue. And what's currently happening, from what I've been reading, is that the game is so old that all of these legacy bugs and problems have really just hit a levy where they're not as manageable as they once were. What about customer support? Is it there or is it not? Well, you're going to hear complaints that people have lost money and they've had to contact Scopely about how they purchase something and something happens and now they don't have that thing at all. I honestly don't know myself what the story is with how you get money back on something like that, because they just might say something like, oh, that's just the game, tough luck. You know, all the money that you spent on doing something, sure, this event and how you lost shaved this amount off of all of that, and you're going to have to spend all this time again getting from point A to B, and in order to get there you can just wait it out, or you can pay money again to get there even quicker. That's my guess. My guess is Scopely isn't going to reimburse you unless you're paying like whopping sums into the game. Then maybe they're going to reimburse you for some things because it's a lot of money. But I can't imagine them doing that for, most players. And the reason why I'm saying this is not because I'm ignorant, but because there's an actual word that was invented by the community for experiencing something like this. It's called getting Scopelied. And what's interesting is that the community is quite vocal about these things. That you can go and look at the chat channels and what the alliances are talking about. Their discords or forum, they're vocal about this stuff. It's not like it's all quiet, hushed and hidden away. I mean, you can read about how absurd it all can get. Now, in terms of a toxic player community and inadequate moderation, I gotta say that I felt that toxic things they could get on top of quite quickly and, moderate effectively. There isn't some form of active censorship going on, it's just people talking away. My experience with the community in general that play Star Trek Fleet Command is that they're actually mostly nice, helpful bunch of people. I find that the environment wasn't as toxic as many other games I've played. That's one thing I've got to say. The community is a nice community. Star Trek community, there's a lot of tolerance for other people and certain things. Yeah, there's some bad beefs that go around, but nothing unusual in the gaming community. It does foster quite a bit of respect. There is respect going on. There isn't a lot of personal attacks and stuff, or if there are, they kind of get shut down pretty quickly. Like they don't want that kind of an environment, which is fair. But the community does talk openly about how much they're being fleeced by Scopely, like how much Scopely is, punishing them and stuff like that for not achieving certain conditions whenever they unveil a new story arc where all their bases are going to be basically melted unless they invest in certain shields. And they talk openly about this, so it's not like it's a hidden topic or a hidden problem. It's just that this is how Scopely has monetized this Star Trek game. So this game happens to be quite repetitive in parts, but also the daily grind, the weekly grind, the monthly grind, the yearly grind. There are very few games out there which have the level of grind which Star Trek Fleet Command has. This is one of the grind of grinds. You're going to have weekly, monthly, yearly grinds going on, waiting for something to level up and reach a stage where it's functional and you can use it in the game. And that can be very boring. And a huge portion of it is focused on mining resources. And for a game that's so expensive and takes so much revenue, it's quite surprising how boring and monotonous certain parts of it can be, or how simplistic certain things are, which just go on forever. And the content in certain areas isn't as varied as you think it is. And it just leads to burnout. Doing the same thing over again, like mining, mining, mining. You're going to be burnt out. You're just going to have enough of it. You don't want to do it anymore. So, regardless of how much money you've spent on this game and how much time you've put into it, there are areas which are just going to burn you out. And at the point of burnout, the game is no longer fun. It's no longer enjoyable. It's a chore. And it becomes a second job. A lot of games have this daily drop where you hit a button and you get all these different drops for the day, and that's it over. Scopely won't allow you to hit a button and have that sort of instant drop of everything and then off you go to work. Instead, you have to click through getting a load of different drops. So you're getting a dopamine hit for every button that you click and something drops. And later on, when I open up the game for the first time in years, you're definitely going to see that happen. A lot of players talk about how this takes 20 minutes to do. That's a ridiculous amount of time just to get through all these daily drops where all you're doing is clicking buttons and things drop down and you can use those things for the day. Once you start gaming, then you use all these free drops. It can take up to 20 minutes to get through all of that. So you have this excessive time commitment to a game before you even start playing the actual game. And if you do play the game, once you start playing it, you can have commitments going between 1, 2, and 3 hours just to complete the dailies. And another thing is, if you want to complete the dailies every day, you're looking at maybe a 3 hour commitment per day. And some people will even tell you that you need to be 8 to 10 hours playing the game to be like really truly productive. That kind of commitment is truly unsustainable for most people. So it boggles the mind how Scopely could even have a game mechanics like that, which is requiring people to basically work playing this game. And another thing about this game is that you can get tokens for various parts of the game. And if you look in your inventory, there's this area where there's just all of these useless tokens that you're probably never going to use again because that event is over. It's like digital junk. So you can actually see all this digital leftover junk in the game which you can't use for anything unless they decide to do another story arc which incorporates some of that material again. Other than that, it's just useless. It's sitting there, you've accumulated it, and it has no use anymore. So you've got all these bugs and problems, and yet Scopely is releasing all this new stuff all the time. So you can tell that there's a mentality where the marketing people are like, push new content, get this new stuff out, get people to buy this. And that's a priority. And you can be sure that there are technicians and developers, and they're going, excuse me, but we need to fix some things. And the marketing people are just going, no, this is what you need to do right now is get this stuff out there and put a price tag on it. Thank you. So the quality of life fixes that you need to play this game are put on the back burner. And we haven't even begun to discuss the kind of invasive advertising that goes on in this game, But you're going to see some of that later when I reopen the game for the first time in years and go back into it. It's definitely going to show up. So what's actually happening is it's becoming some sort of a generic warfare system that's highly monetized and just has Star Trek stuff slapped all over it. Why are people spending so much money on a game which has all these issues and lags? And it's a good question, and I don't fully know the answer to that, but I can say this, that there is a social glue that's holding people who do play it together, that they do enjoy playing this game and talking to each other. And maybe just actually going on to a chat and talking with each other is what they enjoy more than actually playing the game. You know, that's a strong contender for what's going on here. And I'm sure that there is a social hierarchy going on as well, where there are people who are, admirals and captains in the game and who are able to lead alliances, etc. They're very good at that. And yeah, it can be interesting to be part of a group like that. And I have to say again, I do enjoy the social dynamic. It has a very good social universe going on behind it, one of the best I've ever seen. And the true product of Star Trek Fleet Command isn't these microtransactions, it's not even the game. It's just a society of Star Trek people who enjoy being with each other. And I can understand that players stay on because they don't want to let down their teammates. That makes perfect sense with this game. Yeah, I can buy into that. But in order to stay in the game, Scopely are really taxing them to stay in the game. To really stay in the game, you're going to be opening your wallet. So I gotta say, with my experience and everything I've been through and everything I've read and listening to people, this is a case study of extreme monetization. From its personalized, high costing storefronts that are moving around like a random target so you can't pin down exactly what things will cost, to its technically unstable state for a game that has such high revenues, I can understand why there is a profound dissatisfaction and why people like myself eventually quit this game. Because Scopely are definitely prioritizing financial matters before player experience. So, this dream of exploring the galaxy with Kirk and Spock is really replaced by a relentless grinding, unending bugs, and the ever present pressure to just spend, and spend. In fact, if you're in the social channels, a phrase which you'll hear an awful lot is keep your wallet closed. Like they're literally telling people, don't spend, don't spend, don't spend, don't click that spend button. And of course, then somebody clicks it. It's that contagious. I can definitely say this about the game. The final frontier has nothing to do with outer space. It's the limit of your patience to deal with that kind of aggressive monetization and the depth of your wallet. So now, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open up the game, which I haven't in years, and I'm going to go through whatever is going on and talk you through it. And you can see this as a fact and that I'm not making this up, that I'm telling the truth. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do like and subscribe. You don't have to, but you can. Or I can aggressively ask for it like Scopely does. Subscribe if you want to get anywhere in life. Subscribe, like, subscribe, otherwise you're going nowhere. Otherwise you're going to be punished. Subscribe, like, if you want. You don't have to, but you can if you want. Go on. So I'm going to get into the game for the first time, and I've sped up things here just to make it quicker for everybody. And as you can see, it's doing a first time launch detected, and it's going to download some stuff, and we're going to go into the game. And usually the first thing you see is basically going to tell you how this is whatever's happening for the weekend or the week. There's some big event, and that's the overall theme, right? So we get into the game and it's loading up. Already we're flashed with a special offer. Now I've blurred out the actual price of the special offer below because it's going to change depending on where you are playing this game. So this could be dollars, American, Canadian, euro, yen, whatever. You have to find that out for yourself. And you can find that out for yourself by even going to the website and looking at the shop there and what the prices are, but you probably have to log in to do that as well. So anyway, here we are, the first time, haven't played it in years. Wham, this is what we get. Now, probably the most important thing right now is that there's a claims box in the top right and it says 41, and that's what we're going to be going through. As you can see in the top left though, there's a level 37 up here. You'll see it in the corner there where Picard has his hand up, 37. So that was my level at the time of leaving. As you can see, it's the 23rd of February. This is when I'm recording this. And so it wasn't too long ago from when I uploaded this video. I'm not in any alliance at the moment. So we're going to go, and as you can see, my base is pretty well built up. Oh, if you look at the bottom of the screen, a load of ships are dead. And the reason why they're dead is because I've been away so long that I wasn't protecting my base, and I'm punished for that. All my ships have been destroyed and I'll have to repair them all, and that's going to have a costing. And I'm probably going to have the materials to do that, but there are times when you don't, and then you have to buy materials. So off we go to the claims in the top right, and let's see what we've got here. Oh, look, here are all the offers that Scopely is giving me for coming back. And we can see that there are some there which you won't get unless you've been away for a while. And there are others which are your sort of common stuff, like this away team here. So here I am clicking and downloading drops basically onto my game. These are the drops. These are the drops that you get. Um, every week there's going to be something on the weekend which pops up, and also there's daily drops. So this is what you have to do each time you play the game. You got to go through all of these drops. On the bottom of the screen you can see there are even different categories of drops. You've got gifts, artifacts, etc. So here I am just opening up the chests and getting my dopamine hit with each drop that comes in. You know, you get 3 of these items for that, whatever it is. The thing is, though, there's no quick way to do this. You actually have to go through every single one in the morning and get your drops. There's some redeem codes there, which, you know, they give you, if you put in a code, you get some drop of something. It's not going to be anything special. This particular drop, the Mac welcome gift that I just went by there, that's a frame. It's just going to go around your character. Wave defense unlock. Okay, these are probably going to be important for, you know, helping my base not get obliterated or whatever next time. Transphasic torpedoes, tier up reward. Yeah, trial bells. These are all things that will help to be able to play parts of the game. You need to have certain items and they reach a certain number, and then you can use them to play some part of the game. That's basically how most of these drops work. The other drops are for leveling up your ships. Lost Horizons reward. This is going to be interesting. Oh, a cargo container. So there's a ship there that I can obviously probably upgrade or something, or maybe not. Maybe I've forgotten. Origins Part 1. There we go. We got a free story for the game. That's a mission. As for Part 2, I don't know. You might have to pay money for Part 2. That's happened in this game before. You get the first part of the story arc, and then to finish it, you have to pay money. It happens. And that's just how Scopely does things. So again, there's a lot here to claim. There's a lot to go through. Now, you won't have to do that unless you've been away for a long time. Silver Screen Part 1, there you go. That's another mission. Part 2, I don't know, probably cost you money. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm guessing it's going to cost money because it's happened to me before. New mission, Actors 1. I tried to claim that and nothing happened. So maybe, you know, some of these missions, they got pulled for some reason, which can happen. Okay, there's the Mac frame. So that's a frame for my character. So, you know, when we clicked on Picard earlier, I could put a frame around him like that. Let's see what else we got here. New mission, Going Beyond. Ah, it didn't download. It didn't drop. Now, I wonder why that was. Oh, error. This item has been removed from the store. Sorry. So that's what I mean. That was given to people a long time ago, and then they got rid of it for whatever reason. It could be that it was buggy, crashing, or It's just the story's finished and you can't really play it at the moment because it clashes with something going on, or maybe there was a limited time to play it or whatever. Here we are, more drops, independent archive, schematics, personal records. Again, that's a mission. There's no part two, so that might be worth actually playing, so you might not have to drop money into that. Q's gifts, again, here's another drop. Okay, this is typical of a container drop. You see this animation, and at the bottom, 1 out of 5, and you can actually skip these. In the top right, there's a skip. So you can actually see all 5 in one instance if you press the skip. But there are very few places in which you can skip stuff. Those scenes you can, but not during the other drops that we're doing there. So let's see what else we got here. So as you can see, we're getting all these drops. I'll tell you right now that there's nothing major about them. And here, look, as you can see, for Yela, you're getting 2, and from Jonathan Archer, you're getting 2. And that's 2 more levels towards unlocking the character. So for Jonathan Archer, he was like 12 out of 115 so far. Okay, Badgie. Okay, all you can do there is level up Badgie. That's all you can do with this particular drop. But you have got tokens, and we're going to use those tokens in a bit to open up chests to see if we've got any new characters. So as you can see here, I'm just still claiming stuff, getting drops, getting my dopamine hits, and no way to speed it all up. So if you're like going to work in the morning, right, and you have to get through all of these things, that's a chore. Be about 10 to 20 minutes. But then what would take up the rest of the time would be doing the dailies. So yeah, you're you gotta put time away or plan ahead how you're going to do all this. And it's ridiculous, isn't it? Just drops, drops, drops. Oh, yeah. And some of them have max capacities, which means, you can only do like a max of 75 or something like that, as it's saying there, max capacity for the trial bells. And then you're not going to get any more unless you use up what you have. So the game has constraints like that. So even if you're getting these drops, it's not exactly, they're not limitless per se. So here I am going over, I've got a welcome backpack, that looks groovy, but there's only 6 hours left in it. So it's telling me your welcome backpack, oh, I got a battle pass unlock. Now that's not bad, because the battle passes, they last quite a long time and they cost money and they give you extra things as you level up. But look, it ends in 6 hours and 6 minutes. Well, that's disappointing. Maybe they would have given it to me if I had got it earlier, and it would have lasted longer. But 6 hours on the battle pass, that's weak. That's really not good. So maybe that was my fault. I don't know. So here I went through a quick mission because it popped up on the screen, but I'm going to go back to the claims again and have a look in and see. Oh, compensation gift. Let's see what we're getting into there. Okay, we got points for the battle pass. So basically there's a few things that you'll be able to get from the battle pass with that. But again, it's nothing great. So as you can see here, some of my artifact rewards are hardly anything, but we did get recruit drops earlier on. And so we're going to go through looking at those. Again, you can skip these ones with the top right. There's a skip there. And it shows you the summary if you do skip. And so I've done that once. Now here's another one I'm going to do again. Let's see if we're going to get a drop on anything that, might unlock one of these mission key recruits. As you can see, I'm the only one I'm even close to is maybe 10 of 11 there, which requires 16 more points to get there. So the chances of me actually opening up a new character through this are slim to none. Oh yeah, and it's only 1. You get 1 out of 1. So look, 20 out of 110. I only have another 90 more points to go to get him. And you're dropping 1 at a time. Like Ultra Recruit 5. Now that's cool. That's a lot of chests. I mean, I can buy a lot of chests here. I'm gonna, have like 7 chests or something. And so there's going to be a chance that I'm going to unlock some characters here. And that's good. That's the good news. Let's go ahead and see what we're going to get. And so I'm going to unlock 5 chests all in one go. Again, you can skip these if you want, but below 1 out of 50, yeah? And it shows me how many points I'm getting to unlocking these characters. So the question is, are we going to actually unlock a character? You know? And so you're doing your dopamine hits here, you're gambling, whatever, seeing how many points you get. Ooh, I'm not opening up that person anytime soon, am I? I'm not opening up TOS, James Kirk, or Christopher Pike. Wow, 5 out of 110. James T, wow, only another, 70 to go. Captain Tilly, oh, I can 10 more and I can have her. Dixon Hill, so here I am just speeding up everything to see, I'm doing this, I'm speeding up the video to go through them all to see who we're going to unlock. And we've got like 30, nearly 40 out of 50, and we haven't unlocked anyone yet. We're near the end. Are we going to unlock somebody? Come on, just one. It'd be nice to unlock one person. And out of all of those, no, we didn't unlock any. So that was kind of disappointing. But we still have more ultra recruit points left. We can get a 3 chester. So let's go for that. So let's go and do this again. And let's see how many. 31. Okay, 31. So let's see. Maybe we'll unlock 1 or 2 if we're lucky. Gorkins. Well, here we go. We did unlock somebody. Who do we? Gizok. Okay, so we've got a Borg. So we got 1 so far out of what, 60 that we've opened so far. And so are we coming any closer to getting another one? Let's see. Oh, here we go, another recruit. And what's this? It's a Klingon. It's Betor. 34 out of 34. And again, could be good for ships, could be good for sending on an away mission. And I'm speeding things up because we didn't get anybody else, actually. We only got 2 for the run of 80 cards. We got 2. And as you can see, they're there in the top left. Oh, yeah, I'm just checking what their stats are again. So, an ultra recruit, we can do 1 more box. Okay, so we'll do 1 more box and we'll see what we get out of this. Are we going to unlock another recruit? Um, you know, so far, 12. So what's that? 90? I don't know how many boxes we've opened so far. You can add that 50 and 30 and 10. So 90 boxes or whatever. So 5, okay, 6, 7, still no unlock. Got 5 more to go. Are we going to get another unlock after we've done our 90 or so boxes? Oh, Marcus, only 19 more to go. Scott, oh, only another 14 to go there. William Riker, 42 out of 100. Sulu, 23 out of 30. And no unlock. So again, everything is leveled up towards an unlock, but nothing. Premium recruits, okay. We get another chance here to open up some premium recruits, but I've already opened up quite a few premium recruits playing this game. So these are all just level ups. So you can see that with the arrow. They're not unlocks. They're just let's level them up. And that's all that's going to happen here, which is why I just sped it up. We just got ways to level up these. We didn't unlock anyone new, and the level ups weren't exactly fantastic. So that was the recruit, and I go back to the alliance, and I can see that there's 1 here that I'm supposed to look for because of the red. There we go. And it's a P shield. P shields are about being able to protect your base from being destroyed while you're not playing the game. You actually need them. Consumables, right? So again, there's no quick way to get all of these consumables in one go. You have to go through each one, getting your dopamine hits. Now, I presume the reason why Scopely does this is because you can actually spend real money getting the tokens that you need to open up these things. And they don't want you to press a button and blow all your $100 or whatever spend or $50 spend in one click. But I can tell you right now that these prices will blow your mind. So if you look for these alliance tournament specials in the offers, wow, yeah, that'll tell you everything you need to know about how much you can blow on this game in a single day. But let's just say there was over a grand's worth of stuff there. Okay, so again, no way to drop down everything. You have to go through everything. So you kind of get the idea there of what I'm talking about in terms of how difficult it is to actually get everything that you need before you even start to play the game. Now, I've just got a ton of claims here and rewards to get, and they're just going to level up Garush, and he's part of the syndicate. And as you level them up, you get these, tiny little bonuses to help you out in the game. So again, everything is macro priced microtransactions for micro incremental gains in this game over long periods of time, which are supposed to stack into, more powerful things. And it's just the time it takes is ridiculous, and the cost as well. So where are we now? Let's see. Oh yeah, the refinery. You're going to be spending a ton of time here after you've mined stuff to refine what you've mined, and that takes time as well. And there's limits as to what you can do, unless you pay money, of course. Then you can, skip past that, buy your way to resources. Franklin blueprints, 3 out of 90. Okay, I've already done the Franklin. You can do the ships more than once. Why would you do that? You can break them down and then use the materials and stuff for other things. But yeah, this part of the refining process, this is where you're going to be spending most of the game, doing that refining stuff so that you can level up your ships or weapons or whatever. Okay, I'm speeding things up here. You've kind of seen enough to get the idea of what's going on, and I'm just tearing through all the rest of it so you can see like all the things that you can kind of do. Am I right or am I wrong? Please let me know in the comments. Go ahead and tell me what you think. And thank you very much for spending time with me on this video. Please do like and subscribe. One more thing I want to add to the end of this. As you can see, the developers have spent a lot of time developing this game. And my beef is not with the developers and never will be with the developers. The people programming it, putting it together, doing the artwork, they're grinding as well, putting together this game. My beef is with the corporate side of things. They don't care. They really don't care about the end user. They don't care about their employees. What they care about was maximizing their profits and hauling out of there before their salary starts to take a cut. And that's it. That's all that's going to go on. So as a developer, keep an eye on what's happening there in the corporate side of things. See if you can tell which way the wind is going to blow, and try and get the most that you can out from them as soon as you can, because they're going to bail when everything falls, and it will. Like a game like this will eventually implode, and it'll have to downsize, and the workforce will be reduced. When that happens, the people responsible for driving this ultra monetization of this game, they'll be gone. They'll be on to the next game somewhere else, and they're going to do exactly the same thing. And they're going to leave everybody stranded and explaining why other people who spent so much money and time on this game are basically in a game which is, on its last legs. You don't want to be there doing that. Your career should be in a better place than that. So yeah, just keep an eye out for those signs and which way the wind blows. And even right now, try to increase your wages with the company and try to get as much money out of them as you can, because a lot of this money obviously isn't going to the developer. Obviously, a lot of this money is not being put back into development. It's not being put back into getting the game running up and properly. It's going to line somebody's pockets. And I bet it's only a few people that eventually are taking the chunk of that money away for themselves. These are my views. Tell me what you think in the comments, but this is why I quit playing Star Trek Fleet Command. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for spending the time with me here. I know it's been a long video. I know it's been a lot of content, but believe me, I wish that I had seen a video like this before I spent the amount of time and money that I did playing this game.